water often goes unnoticed. Even the water from your yard can find its way to a nearby lake or stream. Water Resources Educator Annette is here to educate us about the flow of water and how our communities impact them. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to
have you. You're involved in an extension program.
Yep.
What is an extension program and why is it important?
Well, University of Minnesota Extension takes some of the learning and the research that's happened at the university and brings it out into the communities. Mm-hmm. So a role I have as an extension educator is to take some of the concepts that we've learned about how to save water on the landscape, how to hold it back, how to improve water quality, and bring that to communities, working with them to monitor the health of their streams.
Mm-hmm. So you specifically deal with the environment and the water and the Red River watershed.
Right.
Describe what a watershed is.
Well, the Red River watershed is the specific watershed that I'm working on. And a watershed is really all the area of land that drains water into one body, a stream. It could be a small stream that feeds into another stream. If you think about having a home address, you have a home, a city, right? You have a county that you live in. We all live in a watershed. And so those watersheds are kind of nested. So you might live on a small stream, but that stream flows into the Red River. So you're part of two watersheds there.
Right there. We just saw a graphic on the United States map and different watersheds across the country, all flowing into the Gulf of Mexico. But the watersheds are in states as well. How many watersheds are usually in a state?
Well, that really varies depending on the state. Minnesota is pretty unique that we have 4 different watersheds. We have the Missouri River on the far southwest. We have the Mississippi, of course, which everybody thinks about when they think about Minnesota.
Yes.
But we have the Lake Superior, which goes into Lake Superior. And then we have the Red, which is really different from the other watersheds because it flows north. And that's a big difference.
And that's a big difference than all the other ones.
Right.
Are they man-made or just developed over time?
The watersheds are natural. It's something that just develops over time. Pretty much you have high points of land that's going to kind of coax the water down different areas, and depending on what humans do to the land, that definitely can change it. We can move water around, and that changes where the watersheds really exist.
Well, we know that Minnesota and North Dakota, the Red River Basin in the middle, is prone to flooding. Why?
Well, one aspect is that it flows north. And so water and ice doesn't break up. Ice breaks up further south, right? And usually works north. So we have ice breakup going north to where the river is still iced over. And we end up with backups, ice dams, and the water backs up. We also have this very flat, if you notice when you're driving around, very flat terrain. The Red River is the bottom of former Lake Agassiz. This whole area was the bottom of a lake. And so we don't have a lot of flow. You know, there's not a lot of drop to the flow, but it's very slow and we have a lot of water coming in.
It's very level,
yeah,
to say it out here. How can people change the way that water flows?
Well, really, the thing we look at when we're trying to reduce flooding impacts on a small scale, like from a homeowner scale, we want to reduce how much impervious surface we put on. That impervious simply means water can't go through, and if water can't go through it, like a parking lot, sidewalks, it can't soak into the ground. If it soaks into the ground, that helps recharge the groundwater. Other things we need to do is hold the water back farther up the watershed. So if there's a wetland, try to expand that or restore areas that have maybe been ditched and drained and we're shooting the water off very quickly so that we can use that land. We want to try to hold it and hold it in a way that's beneficial to the environment. So you could plant native grasses. That's one thing that really helps hold and bring more water into the soil.
In what ways do people affect their watershed communities?
We affect it through many ways, agriculture, through, as I mentioned, the impervious surface. Anytime we start paving over areas, we have to move the water. You know, we have to move it around what we need. And so we move it through storm drains, we move it through ditches, we move it through tiling, and we're changing where the water's going and at what times the water goes there. So we have to be aware of the natural aspects of the water cycle, what typically happens, and look at ways we can kind of reduce that flow. We're not going to end flooding, but we hopefully can reduce the impacts.
Reduce it. Really quickly, how can communities reduce their impacts?
Again, looking at the amount of impervious surface by trying to plant more native grasses. There's rain gardens that are being used in places like Minneapolis, St. Paul. Those hold rainwater on the surface and allows the water to settle back into the ground. So anywhere that we can really hold water through ponds, keeping native vegetation in areas, that's a way to reduce what's going to go downstream.
Reduce the impacts, that's what we want to do, and try to reduce the flooding maybe a little bit.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.